What will your storyline be in 2018 now that the holiday rush is over? LegalZoom can help you make this a memorable year before all the distractions take hold. Make this the year you finally get serious about launching and running your business. Rest a little easier knowing your family's future is squared away with the right estate plan. LegalZoom has been helping people like you take care of their dreams and responsibilities for more than 16 years. They're not a law firm, but they have the resources to keep you on the right path, including advice from their network of independent attorneys, all at your fingertips. Whether you want to take your business to the next level or take control of your family's future with an estate plan, LegalZoom plugs right into your life so you can take care of the things that matter most. Get off to a strong start in 2018 at LegalZoom.com today and get special savings when you enter Golic in the promo box at checkout. LegalZoom, where life meets legal.
Winning at sports and at sports broadcasting means changing things up.
Just like La Quinta Inns and Suites is changing up their look.
A renovated lobby that's so contemporary it even makes Golic look cool.
Yes, it does. And a totally updated fitness center that even has Wingo feeling like a workout.
I'm ripped. Plus plenty of comfortable spaces to hang out.
Yep, this La Quinta look definitely has a vibe of victory.
So you can just relax, refresh, and get ready for your next big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Hope you're having a good Monday. If you have to work today, hope you're easing into it. And glad you're starting your day with us. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And if you don't have to work, because it's Martin Luther King Day and you're enjoying the day, what are you doing up? Go back to bed.
Go back to
bed.
I
mean, keep us on.
But now that you're up, listen to us, because we're here getting a comp day, so we're pretty happy about that.
Put one in the win column for us, everybody. Glad you're with us. You know, we always say all year long, you know, the divisional round is always the best weekend of the NFL, entire regular and postseason. And you know what it was? It really was. We built it up so much. I'm glad it delivered, right? Because we talk about it all the time.
It did.
But because you have the wild card weekend, which is usually crazy, but the best teams don't play, the top two seeds in each conference. So sometimes you get some stuff that's a little crazy, but across the board, pretty much divisional play is exactly what you were hoping for.
They did, and we thought Sunday was going to be the better day than Saturday, and Sunday it looked, both games started out like they were going to be blowouts. Jacksonville jumping off to the monster lead, Minnesota jumping off to the monster lead. So I was a little surprised at that and bummed. I thought, okay, the Saturday game's cool, going to watch, going to enjoy them. The second game, obviously, New England, Tennessee scoring first and then New England rattling off the next 35. That one we put that one to bed early. Sunday, I thought, okay, we're going to get all our action here. And everybody in Philadelphia is wearing the dog mask that we'll get to now as the underdogs. But I thought, oh, my God, are we going to get bad games? And then they both turned out to be pretty thrilling games.
Well, and especially considering the defenses involved. You look at the teams that are remaining now for conference championship weekend, and in most major categories, these are 3 of the 4 best defenses in almost any metric in the NFL. And in the 2 games involving the 2 best ones in Jacksonville and in Minnesota, you had the most points and the most action on the weekend.
Can I just say really quick?
Sure.
In that Jacksonville...
Your name's first in the show.
Yeah,
you can.
The Jacksonville... Pittsburgh game, Jacksonville's the number 2 defense in the league.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is the number 5 defense in the league. And the score was 45-42. I know one was a pick six, so really 38. And the other, that last touchdown maybe for Pittsburgh was given away. And certainly 3 points for Jacksonville was handed to him on the worst onside kick of all time.
Oh, it was terrible.
So even if you want to say 35, 38 points, both defenses gave up for 2 of the best defenses in the league.
And what was the over in that game?
The over was 40.5.
They both cleared the over.
Scored over the over.
I mean, I think that's happened one other time in the last 50 years.
But I mean,
remember with Pittsburgh, though, 2 of those plays were on those monster fourth downs where it was freak plays that really only 2 of the best players at their given position would make. But when you look at the box score, it does anything but reflect.
And on the reverse of that, right, the 4th and 5 and 4th and 11, they get touchdowns, and the 4th and 1s they don't get.
Yeah.
Jacksonville takes advantage of the other way on inexplicable calls, as far as I think we're all concerned.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit, but let's start this hour as we do every once in a while with...
It's time for... Off the Top.
Whether you like it or not,
it's just beginning.
With Golic and Wingo.
All right, we start off the top with what's coming up tonight Finals rematch, the Warriors visit Cleveland with coverage on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app at approximately 7:30. The Warriors have won 9 of their last 11. The Cavs are going the other way, Mike.
Yeah, they really are. They've lost, 7 of their last 9. And to me, it's going to be more about the offensive side. And Isaiah Thomas, remember the first game he came out the bench, scored 18 points, shot 52% from the field. In the last couple of games, averaging 6.5 points a game, just shooting 19% from the field. But after the All-Star break last year, Cleveland was 29th in defensive efficiency. They were bad. Still made it to the finals, I know, and lost. This year their defense is bad right now, but their offense, I believe is in the 20s as well. That's something they have to clean up. We all keep saying they have to clean up the defensive side of the ball, and a lot of that may be want to. Part of it is certainly going to be want to, but offensively they're slipping as well.
Yeah, and this is one of those things you can set your clock by the Cavs' January meltdown. Yep. There's usually some sort of slump here. LeBron's going to ask for something that they're going to go and get out of the bargain bin near the trade deadline, all that good stuff, but we've got the unstoppable force meets immovable object. LeBron James, historically, wins the championship every year, the same year that Nick Saban does. Right. The Tide have already gotten that done. But we heard the other day they've lost 3 straight, 2 of those consecutively by 25-plus points. No team's ever gone on and won the NBA Finals after doing that in the regular season, so which one wins?
What history do you believe?
Of both of these incredibly predictive stats.
Something has to give. And we continue.
Off the top.
And off the top, a very rough start for American players at the Australian Open, which, by the way, will be on the ESPN family of networks over the next couple of weeks. The most prominent defeat was number 5 seed Venus Williams. By the way, she was a finalist last year, losing to sister Serena.
Yeah, this was a tough one already. 5 or 6 American women out of it, including U.S. Open winner Sloane Stephens is out, as well as number 10 seed Coco Vandeweghe. She's out as well. So what a tough. I mean, you travel all that distance, and you figure you're going to be there for a little while, and round 1, boom, you're done. I mean, that's a tough call.
Well, Coco, by the way, she was a semifinalist at the U.S. Open and the Australian Open in 2017. So really shocking for her as big things were expected. By the way, Venus is just the 3rd woman in the Open era to lose the opening match at the Australian Open after reaching the finals the previous year, joining Jennifer Capriati and Sharon Walsh. But my point is, to your point, Mike, if you've made the trip, you might as well stay down there for a while, because it's not an easy place to get to, Melbourne, from the good old US of A. It's like a 20-hour flight from LA to get there. So you've put in the effort, you've crossed the international date line, you might as well just stay and hang out for a while. Plus the Aussies are a lot of fun. All right, we continue.
Off the top.
Well, we have another offensive coordinator change in Alabama, as the Buffalo Bills have hired Brian Daboll to be their new OC.
Yeah, the 4th time he's been an offensive coordinator in the NFL. Now, going to Alabama, he actually went to St. Francis High School in the Buffalo suburb of Hamburg and played football at University of Rochester. What's interesting on the other side of that, Mike, is Nick Saban is looking for his 4th offensive coordinator in like a year. From Lane Kiffin to Steve Sarkisian to Brian Daboll to now looking for another one. And, oh, by the way, lost Jeremy Pruitt as defensive coordinator, who's the head coach at Tennessee now.
Yeah, you still bring back Tua Tagovailoa and the rest of that team that didn't exactly win because of its offense on most occasions this last year. It's interesting, though, the hire with Daboll. I'd have to go back and look and see what his last stint in the NFL looked like before that. Obviously, it skewed a little bit with the Pats, but it's not like Alabama lit the world on fire on offense. So for a team in Buffalo that struggled mightily on offense, is the impetus for making this change? Is this really going to be the kickstart?
But you wonder, was it because you had a quarterback that really didn't throw very well in Jalen Hurts? And, well, I guess if you have Tyrod Taylor, you might have that same issue because he struggled throwing the ball as well. And possibly the next coordinator at Alabama, you are going to get a quarterback in Tua that looks like he can throw the ball. So maybe that dynamic changes a little bit.
It could certainly, but I mean, listen, as a coordinator, your hallmark is making the best with what you've got. That's what you want to see. And if you're hiring someone on in Buffalo, to your point, with the uncertainty around there on offense in general, forget the quarterback position, but at wide receiver and every other place where they had question marks at a certain time of the year, you're not going to be making chicken salad with a whole lot of chicken.
And I know they don't really want Tyrod Taylor there at quarterback.
No, it looks like there will be a change at quarterback in Buffalo for sure, much as there was a change at quarterback at Alabama, which sparked them to that national championship. And we'll finish up
off the top.
Arizona has hired Kevin Sumlin as its head football coach. He joins the Wildcats after 6 seasons at Texas A&M, where he went 51 and 26.
Again, he leaves there. That's where Jimbo Fisher goes to Texas A&M, and then Rich Rodriguez getting fired at Arizona under the circumstances he did. So Sumlin's name had been rumored there for a little while. So let's see. Now he and our buddy Herm Edwards be matching up when Arizona plays against Arizona State. Looking forward to that. But you didn't figure Sumlin was going to be out of a job for too long.
No, you knew he was going to be picked up pretty quickly. By the way, again, it's the funniest thing ever. Herm was hired in December, and he's the longest tenured football coach of the major programs in the state of Arizona. Arizona State, and the Phoenix Cardinals of the Arizona Cardinals.
So the Arizona is the new Florida from the last couple of years, because we remember now, isn't it? Mark Richt down at Florida is the longest tenured head coach in the state of Florida, and he's been there all of 2 seasons with the turnover that they've had. So a lot of change up there. Was it? Is it Khalil Tate? Is it the quarterback at the quarterback for Arizona? Was a dark horse Heisman candidate for a while. I hope I'm not getting the name wrong, but I think so. As one of the better athletes at the quarterback position, a guy who in the middle of the season blew up enough to get himself in that conversation. Gets a guy who's no stranger to having great quarterbacks on his roster. Now, a bunch of them left in droves during his time in College Station, but still someone who is used to that kind of tutelage underneath him. So could be a step up in the world for Khalil Tate.
Certainly could, and we'll see what happens with them. But Kevin Sumlin, now the head coach at the University of Arizona, and that was off the top here on Golic and Wingo. But let's get back to what was the dominant storyline of the weekend, which obviously was the divisional round. And we'll talk a lot more throughout this show about what the Vikings were able to do against the Saints and what Jacksonville, quite frankly, was able to do for a second time against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But because of all the stuff that happened on Sunday, kind of got lost in the wash. Is what happened Saturday, where you had the number 1 seed, the Philadelphia Eagles. They were an underdog. Now, just so people understand, going back to 1975, that was when the NFL changed the rule and said whoever has the best record gets home field advantage. Before that, it was based on a rotation. So they were the first underdog ever as a number 1 seed playing their first playoff game, and they took that to heart. After their amazing win over the Falcons, where they had a goal line stand, Lane Johnson, the right tackle, and then Chris Long did an interview with our Sal Palantonio, putting on the dog mask, saying we're underdogs and barking in it. So they're embracing that. But it took a bizarre sequence, Mike, at the end of the game for them to survive and hang on and host the NFC Championship game, and now this coming weekend against the Minnesota Vikings.
You look at 2 of these games. Obviously, the New England game, they routed Tennessee. The Jacksonville kept doing what they had to do to stay just enough ahead of Pittsburgh to get that win. Then you get the Minnesota game inexplicably with that play where it looks like New Orleans is going to win, and snap of the fingers, 61 yards later, it's over, and Minnesota miraculously hangs on. And here you have Atlanta, first and goal on the 9-yard line to score, take the lead, and most likely win this game coming down to the end of the game. And if 4 cracks inside the 10-yard line, and you know the plays that are going to be going to Julio Jones in this situation, and 3 of them go his way, and unfortunately only one of them is complete, and it's the one that got him down to the 2-yard line. I know a lot of people are talking, in that sequence, first and goal on the 9, it was a fade to Julio Jones to the left side, and then it was a shovel pass, which I have no clue what the hell that was all about. It was like an underhanded shovel pass.
By the way, to Teron Ward. Okay, not Tevin Coleman, to not Devontae Freeman. And if you looked at it, he was already being tackled as the ball. He was going nowhere. That play never had a chance to be successful.
Didn't. I know we've seen some of those plays around the goal line, but that was awful. Then you had the slant to Julio, got him to the 2-yard line. Now it's 4th and 2. A lot of people were critical of the last play. The last play is a rollout by Matt Ryan. Julio Jones is supposed to go in doing to the end zone, do an out, and come back to the pylon. I mean, and Matt Ryan's going to throw it low and away, so he's the only one that can catch it. I have 0 problem with that play call. 0 problem. I know some people did. I say you got your quarterback, great. Certainly was great last year. It off year this year, but it's Julio Jones. The ball's going to Julio Jones. I have 0 problem with saying we're going to run this play. You're on the offensive side of the ball, Mike, and in goal line plays, you run them over and over and over again. I didn't have a problem with that play at all. He slipped. Some say the defender pushed him. Whatever it was, it's a physical play there.
Yeah, there's a lot of contact.
Yeah, and that's fine. But the bottom line is, I don't have a problem with that play call.
I don't. I prefer a more athletic quarterback if I'm going to go roll out near the goal line. If you've got a quarterback who's a legitimate dual threat, goal line rollout, especially if you've got the long side of the field to his throwing arm, might be my favorite play in the repertoire because it gives you it gives you a true run pass option. The rest of it makes protection easier to start from the offensive line angle, but hard to really sustain. Going at your best player on the most important play of the game is always going to be fine in my book. I probably would have let Matt Ryan sit in the pocket just because he's a guy that's a little less fleet of foot.
Look, here's the deal. You're absolutely right when you say you want to put the ball in your best player's hands, and that's Julio Jones, and they tried it 3 times. I have a huge problem with the rollout, and here's why. Basically, you're eliminating. It's 4th and 2. You have no other recourse. This is it. And on that play, you're basically eliminating half the field by doing that. If you want to do that on 1st down or 2nd down, that's fine. But on 4th down, I guess they thought they were going to get all-out blitz, and that's why they wanted to roll out. But to me, when you roll out to the right, like you said, Matt Ryan is not Cam Newton, okay? He's not that guy. So you're basically eliminating half the end zone. You got to have it. You've got to make sure that ball gets into the end zone. That's why I had a problem with rolling out to the right.
And I didn't. The play was going to Julio Jones. That was the play. And here's the other thing. When you're on the 2-yard line, what has the field done? When we sit there and say stand in the pocket, you only have 7 yards to deal with and a bunch of defenders back there. It's not like people are going to be running wide open. So I think to me, there's 3 plays down by the goal line like that if you're going to throw the ball. Just the classic fade, if you want to do that. Then you have that rollout to where you have a route like that, or you run the pick play, which we've seen time and time and time again. I thought maybe we would get something like that because that's the classic play right there to run the pick. So, out of those 3 choices, I'm good with any of them, quite honestly. So, and I get what you're saying that Matt Ryan is athletic enough if there was an opening to run 2 yards.
Yes.
So, but I you know what? I give Philadelphia credit. They all say they knew the play, and that's fine. I mean, you can know the play. In my opinion, if Julio Jones doesn't fall down and does the out and comes back, that's going to probably be a touchdown.
Well, you're right, but then they did throw and went right through his hands. I mean, he did get up,
still had a shot
right through his hands.
Let's be honest. So when we saw that, he even tried to keep his feet, and he came down out of bounds.
Yep.
So even if he caught that, he was coming down out of bounds like he did. So they were just trying to make chicken salad out of what at that point because the original route got blown up.
But this is kind of what we've seen from Atlanta all year. They struggled mightily inside the red zone. Philadelphia is the number 2 defense in the league in terms of percentage of drives that end in a score. And this was that rock in the hard place thing where we expected Atlanta, because they showed up in 1 week last week of the season in a way we always wanted to, that they would be something they weren't, and that Philadelphia, just because they lost their quarterback, wouldn't be the better, more complete team.
Yeah, Golic and Wingo here with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We're glad you're with us. Coming up, Tim Hasselbeck will join us in about 15 minutes. We'll talk to him about those plays that we're discussing and everything else, including the Vikings' ridiculous comeback and how Jacksonville was able to push Pittsburgh around again. But to that point about Julio Jones, it really shouldn't surprise us that didn't work for whatever reason. And this stat should make no sense. Okay? Right. This should not be what I'm about to tell you, but it is. 18 end zone targets this season.
Right.
Julio Jones caught 1 of them.
One
of 18. You have Matt Ryan, who was the MVP of the league a year ago, and Julio Jones, who is freakishly athletic and is a huge size advantage in the end zone. Somehow he only caught 1 of 18 end zone targets this year.
And you know why I don't have a problem throwing it to him? That's just like a shooter. When he's 2 of 10, what do you keep doing? You keep shooting.
Right.
I keep throwing the ball to Julio Jones. Well, I just do.
And for their point, at least that 1 was recency. It was last week. It was against the Rams. It was that short lob in the end zone from Matt Ryan and company that propelled them over Los Angeles. So you could at least say, all right, we feel better about it lately.
So the other side of that, though, let's give Philly all the credit in the world. And
no question.
Mike, this should be something you and I should be happy about for them. Their lines of scrimmage dominated.
Yes.
And even though you look at the running stats, they averaged 3 yards a carry. They had under 100 yards, but they ran it 32 times. They passed it 30 times. So they kept running the ball. They protected Foles well. He was sacked, I think, 1 time in this game. And the defensive line played awesome for Philadelphia as well. Fletcher Cox is a man amongst men. On that defensive line, and they certainly have others that play well as well, but he is ridiculously good. So those lines, the offensive line and that defensive line, I thought they did an excellent job for Philadelphia.
Yeah, and for the last 2 weeks, really, even with an offensive line, Atlanta, it was a story for them last year.
Right.
Them and the Patriots, the offensive lines with the best continuity. They added Alex Mack, who helps in the middle. But the last 2 weeks, Matt Ryan had been under siege in the middle of that pocket. The other week, it was Aaron Donald, which was no shocker. And then with Fletcher Cox this week and Timmy Jernigan in there and the rest of those guys, he had his hands full in the interior of that pocket. And when you can do that, you control the line of scrimmage in that way. That effect permeates. And that's why that defense, third in the league in third down percentage on defense, going up against the number one third down team in the league on offense in the Atlanta Falcons. And heard a great stat. Cynthia Freeland, who was a colleague of ours here, is over at the NFL Network. When the top third down offense and defenses meet, like 60% of the time, the defense ends up being the one that wills out. So to your side of the ball there, it's a more consistent unit that was able to will out.
They sacked Matt Ryan 3 times. It seemed like he was always stepping up almost immediately. The pressure was coming at him so quickly from that defensive line. So a great job by Philadelphia and everybody, including us. We picked against them.
Absolutely.
That's why they're running off the field. Lane Johnson and Chris Long with the dog masks as the underdog. More power to them, man. Use that all you want. Yell at everybody who's picking against you. Absolutely, man. Enjoy that all the way.
That's the way they're going to have to win.
Absolutely.
I mean, they're going to have to get special teams play like they did.
They did, yeah.
They're going to have to do all that kind of stuff. And the craziest thing about that game, though, and I know a game is a river and things change, but if you think about this, just how crazy playoff football is, okay? Right before the half, Nick Foles has a complete overthrow and is going right to safety Keanu Neal.
Unreal.
Unreal. It's an interception waiting to happen. What happens? He's not a guy that handles the ball a lot. It bounces off his knee. Goes right into the hands of wideout Torrey Smith, which keeps the drive alive, which enables them to hit a 53-yard field goal at the end of the first half. How significant was that? Had that not happened, all the Falcons would have needed to win the game was a field goal at the end instead of needing a touchdown. The
Eagles fumbled the ball 4 times in the first half, including a drop snap, including a punt that banged off a guy's hip. 4 times. They lost 2. They get that break at the end of the half. They go into the locker room. Doug Peterson should have went, dudes, you believe what happened in that first half? We're down a point. Yeah. That's all we're down is 1 point after that dreck just happened out there. So, man, we're right in this thing.
Tell me Keanu's knee supplied the L?
Yeah.
Keanu Neal.
That was way too much
time
thinking.
for him to go, isn't it?
You need to stop.
Yeah,
we'll finish up here on this one segment just to talk about the fact the 4 fumbles. They were -2 in the turnover differential, Philadelphia was. We looked it up Saturday night before we went on with primetime. In the current playoff format, which goes back to 1990, if you're -2 in the turnover margin or better, or worse, in other words, you know what your record is in a playoff game?
Not good?
15-145.
It's not good.
15-145. So somehow, some way, thanks to Keanu Neal's knee, a fumble on a botched handoff at the goal line that went right to Nick Foles, and he somehow kept on it, and they scored on the very next play. They found a way to go to 16-145 if you're -2 in the turnover differential. So pro tip to the Eagles, let's not try that again.
No, can't live on that.
The odds say you're not going to go 2-0 in that category. All right, when we come back, what is a quarterback looking at on a play like the one where we saw Case Keenum absolutely stun the Saints on that last play? We'll ask Tim Hasselbeck, who will join us in studio.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.
Really can't hear Everson Griffin enough talking about that.
Really cool.
I was happy. I was sad. Then I'm happy. It's like, wow. I mean, he went on for 2 minutes like that with our Josina Anderson.
It's a reality show, man.
It was
phenomenal.
Fantastic. If you get a chance to see it either on SportsCenter this morning or online, just watch the whole 2 minutes and it will sum up why we like sports. I mean, it's just crazy. Glad you're with us. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. But our NFL analyst, Tim Hasselbeck, is here in studio to give us the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Okay, Tim, I've been trying to share this story with everybody, and you'll help me because you were there with me. Myself, Tim, Jeff Saturday, and Ryan Clark last night getting set to go on and do NFL primetime at 8 o'clock, right after the game is going to be over. So we had watched the entire game go back and forth. So there's 25 seconds left when the Vikings get the ball, and we're all talking, okay, what do you want to do? Hey, when push came to shove, it was the number 2 offense that bested the number 1 defense down the stretch. How do you want to handle this? And then suddenly all that stuff we were talking about, Tim, just went out the window.
I think we were talking about leading the show with the Jags upset of the Steelers. I think it was like, all right, we'll get ready to do this Jaguars highlight. And then as the play happens, I think we all kind of got up from where we were sitting down. We're watching this play happen on this massive, monitor. It's like a TV screen that's, 3 times the size of all of us combined. And we all kind of like walk towards the screen. Like, did that really just happen? It was incredible. It was always, Ryan Clark's talking about, like, I have chills. You almost felt like you were there. And, I don't know. It's one of those things, like, when it happens to you as a player, I think it just like changes, like, it's almost like a life-changing experience. And that's why the Everson Griffin sound is so remarkable.
So take me from the offense side. Defensive side, I've talked about it.
Yep.
If you see the play, you see 2 corners up but playing to the outside, and then Marcus Williams back the safety. And on the snap, Minnesota has to run these sideline routes. So you see the first two guys just start going toward the sideline. And then Williams is deep. And there's 2 routes that way, and then there's Diggs running behind those 2 corners, and that's Marcus Williams' guy. So Marcus Williams, as he said, I got to make the play. I either make a play on the ball or I got to make the tackle inbound. So they all knew what they had to do. They just didn't execute it. What's from the offensive side? What's being talked about at that point?
Well, you have to get to the sideline. So it's the same stuff the defense knows as well because of the clock. And so you're really just running different levels to the sideline. So Kyle Rudolph's in the flat. Jarris Wright is basically running a deep out.
Right.
And then Stephon Diggs is running the corner route. Well, the touchdown happened on 3rd and 10. On 1st and 10, they ran the exact same route. He tried to hit Jarris Wright, on the deep out, and his feet got tangled up coming out of the break. And so I don't know if that play on 1st down impacted Ken Crawley and kind of what he was anticipating because, Marcus Williams blows his assignment and doesn't make the tackle or play on the football as he said.
Right.
But Ken Crawley doesn't make it any easier either because he basically is playing at the same depth of Jarris Wright. You gladly give that up. I don't know why Ken Crawley is playing so shallow. So, look, I don't know if they were impacted by seeing it on 1st down and reacted to it, but listen, it's a great play by the Vikings. I don't want to take that away from them. It's just a total bust.
Total bust.
Defense, though.
Well, to me, and take me through the receiver's mentality, they want to get out of bounds. To me, it was something about Diggs understanding where he was and the last man just missed him because I thought he was going to spin and just run out of bounds because that's what you told. Get out of bounds, get out of bounds, get out of bounds. All of a sudden, he spun and kept going. I thought he would just instinctively go out of bounds.
You know what helps Stephon Diggs? He runs a terrible route. He absolutely runs an absolute horrible corner route. And I think the reason he does is I think he's got to be gassed. They hit him on an in-cut on 1st down to get the drive going.
Right.
They run that exact play on the next down, which is a high, deep angle corner route.
Right.
They run another play down the field on 2nd down. He's got to run back and then run that same play again. So when you watch him come out of his corner route, he's kind of slow getting out of his route, which means he's actually kind of far from the sideline, which is why Marcus Williams would have been able to tackle him inbounds. He's so tired that he doesn't actually run a very good route.
So will he get a minus in the film session on the route running?
I think you forgive that one.
I was about to say, Tim, I love you, but I think we have a hard sell. Hey, Stephon, tell us about the worst route you've ever run.
Well, listen,
I think that's going to go over pretty well for him.
He's told,
You're right.
That's what Golic is saying. He's told to catch the ball and then fall out. You would fall out of bounds. He's not able to because he doesn't come out of his break hard. And what I'm saying, in his defense, he's got to be gassed.
Yeah.
He's got to be absolutely gassed.
By the way, this is why when Tim Hasselbeck joins us and we do NFL Primetime together, we have 2 segments, Positim and Negatim. Yes. He's being Negatim right now. You're raining on the parade.
Hey, better offensive play or worse defensive play?
Oh, I think worse defensive play.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a corner route. I mean, it's a corner route you complete.
I feel very justified.
He feels justified that we're bringing somebody down. That's what he does.
Well, you just agreed with me.
Let's dive. Let's do that for a second.
Yeah.
It's a corner route. I mean, Case Keenum threw a corner route. Okay, you throw them all the time. I mean, Marcus Williams has got to make that play.
By the way, when everyone knows that you basically
have to do it. He threw it right where everybody knew he'd have to throw it. I would definitely put it more on defense. And again, Marcus Williams, for the rookie, stood up after the game and he wore the hat of responsibility for it and knew he played it wrong. But yeah, I put more blame on the defense. Like, I'm not shocked it was a completion, but he should have been tackled in bounds right there.
Look, it was just, I mean, Ryan Clark's face. I mean, he got up out of his chair and just walked around like, what happened?
Yeah,
I mean, it's like he didn't know how to register what he had just seen.
Ryan didn't know how to register. Case Keenum didn't know how to register.
Nobody did.
I think I did. And he's like,
did that just happen?
Yeah,
it was
exactly
unbelievable.
Right.
And you mentioned the word Millie, and we call this the Hail Millie. I want to get into this a little deeper here. Yeah. The Vikings Millie is a fan of the Vikings who will turn 100 years old this year. I'm not sure exactly when her date is, but they had this great video of them, some of her, I think her grandchildren or great-grandchildren, I don't know, reading the letter that the Vikings, she had never been to a Vikings game before, and they gave her the tickets, and she was at that game. She had never been there, and we brought this up last night. You know, the term Hail Mary comes from a playoff game that the Vikings lost to the Dallas Cowboys in 1975, outdoors at Old Metropolitan Stadium with very little time left on the clock. Roger Staubach goes back and throws one down there for Drew Pearson. Now, it looks, if you see the replay, in all the world like Drew pushed off the secondary guy for the Vikings, Nate Wright. And by the way, whenever the Cowboys play in Minnesota, they hang a banner to this day that says Drew pushed Nate. So they remember this in Minnesota. And he went in for the score, and the Cowboys went on to win 21-17, went to the Super Bowl that year and lost to the Steelers by that same score, 21-17. And so that's where the Hail Mary came from.
Right.
So that happened in Minnesota. It feels like all these years later, they've finally gotten rid of that, and the play with Millie in attendance and what just happened with Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs should now be the Hail Millie. So we've replaced the Hail Mary with the Hail Millie in Minnesota lore.
Any chance Millie is going to go to Philly?
She had, well, I don't know that.
Millie.
You. I mean, anybody,
Millie.
Millie. Yeah, but because it is supposed now. You would hope someone would put her in one of the suites.
Yes.
But it is supposed, are you looking at the forecast right now? 53 and cloudy. So it's not going to be.
I think she might be offended by saying that she has to go in the suites. Remember when Bud Grant came out of the coin toss in his sleeve, in the short sleeve shirt? Millie lives in Minnesota. My guess is that she's tougher than that.
Let me just say, she should be offered the suite.
Fair.
If she doesn't want to go in there, that's fine, but it's supposed to be 53 and cloudy. She's got to be at that game.
Well, I don't know if she's going to be at that game, but I can promise you she's going to be at the next game, because Roger Goodell, the commissioner, was in the stands last night in Minneapolis. He found Millie. She got 2 Super Bowl tickets.
Wow.
So
she's cool.
She's going to the Super Bowl one way or the other, although I think one way would be a lot better for Millie than the other if she can have her Vikings play and see her Vikings play.
Think about this. If the Vikings don't make it, what she can get for those 2 tickets.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Just stop that now. And Millie, if you're looking them up, talk to me. Stick around. We got a lot more to talk to you about, okay? What are we to make of the Falcons' play calling in the final minutes against the Eagles? We have a disagreement about that, and we'll get into that with you. All right, as we continue, Tim Hasselbeck is with us. All right, Tim, help us out, because we did not only primetime last night, we did Saturday night, or technically Sunday morning at midnight. On the Saturday games, Golic had no problem with the rollout play on 4th and 2 against the Eagles for Matt Ryan and trying to get it to Julio Jones. Did you have a problem with them rolling out basically on that final play?
I would have a problem if they didn't have another play paired with it. And what I mean by that is the reason you're rolling out is you're expecting all-out pressure, which if you're facing Jim Schwartz defense inside the 5 on a gotta-have-it situation, you're expecting all-out blitz. You're expecting cover 0 all-out blitz, and one of the ways you deal with it is move the pocket, and then you're dealing with inside leverage. That's the type of coverage you're going to get. And so really they had an outbreaking route to Julio. So based on that, I don't have a problem with it. But I do think you have to pair it with something else in the event that that's not the look you're getting pre-snap.
And when your receiver falls down and or is pushed down, either way you want to look at it. And when I say that, I don't mean in any way, shape, or form I would have thrown a flag there at all. To physical play, you're rolling out, you're going to your main guy. I'm with you, though. You'd like to have another option there. But I have no problem, even though Julio in the red zone has not been money this year for Atlanta. That's still, I mean, they went to him out of the 4 plays. They went to him 3 times. So I'm fine with that. I personally am. I mean,
I agree with you.
2 of them were one-on-one plays. You got the fade, it's one-on-one, and the last play is one-on-one. Why would I don't know why anybody would have a problem with that.
What's Matt Ryan making a year? About $18 million or so,
like
somewhere
that.
in the $20 million range. What's Julio making a year? About that? Okay.
No, look, I'm with you.
You just don't like the play call.
I guess here's what I'm looking at. Like, at some point, you have to be like, on first down against Darby, like, make the play. Like, we have $40 million trying to connect on this play. Make the play on the slant. Make the play. And look, even when it doesn't go the way you have it designed on the last play, again, like, make the play.
Okay, so I have no problem going to Julio Jones, obviously.
Right.
The shuffle pass to Teron Ward, I think we can all say, was a disaster. Okay. Do you think there might have been better plays that they could have called to get him in a better matchup?
Yes, if you know that you're getting coverage, and I think that's the challenge here as we sit back and look at it and we say, look, before that snap, if you were to say to me, okay, defensive coordinator is Jim Schwartz, it's a 4th down play in a gotta have it situation inside the 5-yard line. What's he doing? I will bet you if you polled every offensive coordinator in the league, they would say he's heating you up.
Coming after you.
He's going to heat you up. He's going to come after you. He's going to try to get a hit on your quarterback, and he's going to make it be a catch and throw opportunity for your quarterback. And you need a guy to make a play on Julio. I mean, that is literally, I think, almost the unanimous decision you would get. And so I think in some ways you've got to give a lot of credit to Jim Schwartz because he called a defense that I don't think anybody was expecting to see.
Right.
And I think look, it's hard for defensive coordinators, especially that are aggressive by nature, to not be tempted to stick with the call that everybody thinks that they're going to go with.
Right. I know you got to go to Sports Center, but I want to get this, and Trey and I'll talk more about it a little later. In the Pittsburgh game, four fourth downs. Mm-hmm. So you have the 4th and 11 touchdown, the 4th and 5 touchdown, 2 4th and 1s. You get a sweep and you get a play action, throw down the middle. What's with the quarterback sneak? And can you go to it as a quarterback if you want to go to it?
100% you can go to it. Ben can go to it at any point. You get up there, you have some type of
signal
call,
that shows
or
that,
some type of call that activates it. Hey, Peter, or Dart, whatever your call is for it. You just go to it. So if Ben sees it and likes it,
are you surprised?
He can go
even
to
if
it.
they're loaded there.
Listen, I wasn't crazy about the toss crack play, the
especially
first 4th down
wide against the speed defense.
Yeah, I didn't like that. It is a great play by Ramsey. The other one is a packaged play for sure.
Yeah.
And they, Ben eventually gets to it. Look, if Ben would have thrown a touchdown pass on that play, you think you would have heard Ben talk about how much he likes sneaks? I mean, no one can sell you out like Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, you got to be kidding me with that. Like, I'm for it. Like, give me a break. I mean, honestly,
we have that sound. We'll play for it in a little bit. Yeah,
we'll get to that in a little bit, and some numbers there that will surprise you about why they didn't do it. But real quickly, I know you got to go. Mm-hmm. I just want to get this out there. My favorite thing on Saturday was what Bill Belichick did late in that game. They're up 35-7. 4 minutes to play. Eric Decker catches a ball inbounds. He throws the challenge flag. The thing that he did get. That is the most Bill Belichick thing of all time, is it not? No off days.
He almost knew how Bill Belichick it was. If you could show the video of how he threw it, he was like, yeah, I'm going to do this.
I'm going to have a challenge.
I'm that guy. Here I go.
It was great. I mean, be who you are. And he was at that moment. I know you got to sprint to Sports Center. Get out of here.
Thanks, man. Guys.
Coming up, a miracle in Minneapolis, questionable play calling in Pittsburgh, and some numbers that might define just how questionable that play calling is. And Tim alluded to it, what Ben had to say. We'll hear that as well. It is Golic and Wingo on a Monday after a crazy divisional Sunday in the NFL. Stay with us.
I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got one gig. I suck up dirt, so pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too, and an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard.
Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.